Hey folks, we're recording at Chainlink's SmartCon event, and joining me is Mike O'Keefe, who is the head of sales and customer success at Immunify. Mike, great to have you.
Thanks for having me, Tony. It's great to be here.
Yeah, Mike, excited to learn about Immunify, but tell us a bit about yourself and your background in crypto.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an interesting story how I got here. So I had almost a decade in TradFi previously, mostly on the buy side. And then I went into financial technology, working for first a data aggregation and reporting provider for wealth management folks, so family offices, RIAs, et cetera.
Sure.
Then I jumped over to alternative data management in a fintech startup. But in between, I actually had a stop with a customer of mine, and we ended up launching a company that became a nonprofit. And the nonprofit was about fiduciary duty within financial services. And at the same time, this was around 2016 or so, I started to get very interested in crypto myself.
Sure.
And I felt it was a lack of fiduciary duty on the part of wealth managers to not be considering how they would implement crypto into the portfolios.
Sure.
So eventually, years later, the opportunity to get into crypto security comes my way, and I thought to myself, this is it. This is the key to get rid of that career risk element that people were feeling when they were managing portfolios in regards to crypto, and remove that. And hopefully, now we're seeing a lot here at SmartCon this year, a lot of TradFi money coming on chain.
Yeah, it's incredible the amount of TradFi institutions that are now building, whether they're launching ETFs, tokenizing, stable coins. What is it like to see all these folks coming in?
You know, I like to think I'm not that smart of a guy, but I'm smart enough to follow really smart people. And so that's one of the other reasons I got into crypto is I started to see the people who I admired, people I thought that were very intelligent, be drawn to the space from the traditional finance space, from financial services, from technology.
Sure.
And that really drove me here. And there's so many brilliant people that are still working in TradFi that are starting to see exactly what it can do for their customers or their businesses, and how this high tide can lift all boats.
So tell us a bit about Immunify. What is it and what do you guys do?
Yeah, we were founded about almost 5 years ago now, and we started in bug bounties and crowd security. We are by far the most successful bug bounty platform in the Web3 space. We've paid out over $121 million worth of bounties to ethical white hats or ethical hackers, you might call them, or security researchers. And recently, we've started to expand our presence to be a full service solution for on-chain and off-chain security. So we've created a Magnus platform where folks can log in, single point of contact, to manage as much of their security operations as possible.
What you guys are doing is such a critical component of the industry, security, right? Because regardless of if TradFi is here or whoever is here, if our assets are not secure, if we can't stop bad actors and put that buffer there, then it's all going to collapse. So walk us through a bit about how what your tech stack looks like to have the security layers and who you're working with.
Sure, yeah. So we've taken a very purpose-built approach to security in that we have we have the biggest library of vulnerabilities available in the space. So that's going to be hugely powerful.
Sure.
And the other thing that we really value is different security points of view in the place. Immunify does not want to pretend that we can build the best technology for on-chain monitoring as an example.
Sure.
There are a bunch of players who have done that already, but there are a bunch of things that we can build. So as an example, we have our AI agent, which is going to scan all those vulnerabilities I just talked about and be able to provide output to projects who are either in the build stage via pull request reviews or in the audit stage doing the same thing, as a complement to humans in the loop, at least at this stage of where we are today.
Sure.
Additionally, we've come up with our multi-sig transaction review, as well as our flagship bug bounties, audits, and audit competitions. On the flip side, we've got many great players who are doing things like on-chain monitoring or Chain Patrol's brand protection, which is hugely important for projects.
Sure.
And we've started to integrate these best-in-class partners, which you can see, on our website, or if you come talk to us, with our tools to have multiple security points of view, but still just have that one touch point.
So you're working, I see the list here that I put down: Chainlink, Ethereum Foundation, Optimism, Arbitrum. It sounds like you're working with the major blockchains to help them improve their security.
Yeah, so we've got over 330 current customers. We've serviced over 500 customers, projects, L1s, L2s, infrastructure projects, oracles, you name it. We have a solution for pretty much every type of project, every type of Web3 player in the game, and we have pretty tight relationships with many of them, including the folks here today.
You mentioned the use of an AI agent. So are you using AI in different ways to help accomplish, what you're doing?
We are, right? So there's a few ways that we're doing it. The first is pretty straightforward, and you're hearing a lot about it, especially in like crypto Twitter, which is like who can find the most bugs using an AI agent, right? And so that's a little bit of a bot race there. On the other hand, we also have the orchestration piece, which is just like, how can you bring all these security pieces together in a thoughtful way? So one of the things we've done as an example is we've got an ability to say, let's look at your smart contracts, let's look at the deployers, and let's see when a new contract is deployed, can we automatically add protection to it without you touching a button, as an example.
Sure.
The last thing is what we call our guardian AI. It's, I don't know what to do. I'm entering the space. We are TradFi players that are coming into the space, and we want to know how should we build out our security stack. And we've simply implemented best practices into what we call our guardian AI, and it allows folks to ask basic questions to very, very intermediate or advanced questions of what should I do next to advance my security posture.
Man, I'm just thinking about a lot of the exploits and things that have happened. Do you think that the bad actors may also use AI to try to attack blockchains and different things in the industry?
I don't see why they wouldn't if it works for them, right? If it's an available tool for some of us, why wouldn't they do it as well? The thing is that we're, at least here at Immutify, also at, in other places, do have these closed source repositories of what's going on. That's a little bit, at mass adoption should be a nice tipping point for the space to make sure at least you're fleshing out like those very common mistakes that people can make.
Talk to us a bit about some of the common threats that you're seeing across multiple blockchains.
Yeah, so I think there's been events in the news recently that are pretty common mistakes that we've seen over the years that are again being brought into the news, unfortunately.
Right.
Which is something that we all want to be mindful of, is how do you stop that stuff? How do you find it when it's on live production code with funds at risk? And a lot of that comes down to our bug bounties. We've done an incredible job, our security researcher community, in finding those things. I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to just adding all those layers of Swiss cheese to the stack and never getting complacent and always staying vigilant.
Right.
Because you truly don't know when there's something hidden that someone can exploit. And black hats have the advantage of being patient, where businesses do not have that advantage.
Oh, for sure. And this is a dumb question, and I probably know the answer, but who's funding the bounties and so forth? Is the projects you're working with?
Yeah, the projects themselves fund the bounties.
Okay.
So we work with them to decide what the funds at risk might be, what an appropriate bounty size would be, and then they will fund the bounties themselves.
Got it. And what's on your roadmap? What can we expect in 2026?
Oh, man. So we have a lot of really exciting things on our roadmap. More integrations with security partners, a few more first-party tools that we'll be building. The big thing that we're really excited about is we have announced our token, and the token's utility is, frankly, to keep the flywheel spinning between our partners, our projects, and our security researchers.
Sure.
And so I think we're creating a really nice economy with our token, so that folks can stake the token to make sure that they stay more safe, and that incentivizes security researchers and the partners to work with them to do so. So I think that's the biggest change for our business in the coming year, in the coming months even.
Oh, sure.
As well as just the transition from being known as a crowd security platform to having this hub and spoke approach with the Magnus platform.
Now, one of the things folks are waiting for is the Clarity Act, the crypto market structure bill to pass. We know it's kind of stuck right now with government shutdown. How are you guys viewing that? I don't know if that addresses security issues or things like that, but are there any commonalities, common ground there?
We typically, just as our general policy, don't really comment on regulation or legislation for really any government. We do participate in working through it when we're able to participate in doing that, or giving our 2 cents into what that may be, depending on the jurisdiction. And obviously, the nice thing about a lot of the things we're working on is that the security tools we put in place, the partners that we have, we tend to make sure that they are compliant or will be compliant with any regulation that comes along. So that is something sort of as a service we'd almost provide, is that to make sure that folks who have the security posture are remaining compliant with any legislation that comes. In terms of specific legislation, we stay away from that third rail to a specific or specific regulation to we stay away from specifics there, but
that's great that you offer that service to help them make sure they're compliant with what's out the law.
Yeah, to the extent that we can, and if we can't, we certainly have the partners who can help them. Yeah.
Are you working with TradFi institutions that are coming in who have security concerns and issues? I don't know if you can name drop, or you could tell us the type of institutions that they are.
So our goal from the beginning, almost 5 years ago, and I've only been here for 2.5 years, but our goal has always been to bring more funds on chain, and security is the way to do that. So we are absolutely working where and when we can with institutions or blockchains that are linked closely with institutions, or infrastructure that is linked closely with institutions, like a lot of the folks we're seeing here today at SmartCon. And have services to provide them, or at the very least, our security advisory arm can certainly do that as well, right? We know a lot about the Web 2. We know a lot almost about the Web 2.5 spot now of where these things start to integrate. And then we don't know a lot once we get beyond that. How can you help us in that regard? So working with a lot of the L1s or the infrastructure projects or the oracles that interact with these institutions is certainly right where we want to be. That's also a place where we've got solutions to help folks with that.
Got it. Mike, great stuff. Looking forward to the future updates. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It was really nice to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
This episode is brought to you by Propy, which is leading the charge in putting real estate on chain. Propy is a game changer. You can buy and sell real estate with cryptocurrencies using the Propy platform, which is powered by a blockchain, of course, and they have a native token called Pro. And I've been an investor in the Propy token since 2018. So Propy is a licensed Web3 pioneer operating since 2017. They have facilitated over $4 billion in transactions. They're putting titles and deeds on chain. They use Coinbase for their crypto escrow service. So this is a great platform. And once again, they are ahead of the curve when it comes to putting real estate on chain. And they just launched a great campaign where you can earn some of the Propy tokens. And it's simply by doing tasks such as sharing their vision video, signing up and inviting a friend, and much more. So if you'd like to learn more about Propy, visit the link in the description.